Hello, Patriots. How are we doing? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You've made it. Well done. It's looking like we're gonna get some great weather this weekend here in Grampian. Um, it was the weather just sort of turned yesterday. Do you know when we were on our way back from working up at a workshop? Um, yeah, there's so many gritters on the road, but it's turned out to be a nice day. So I've managed to get out, get the haircut. Um, Picked up a few bits of kit for our training sessions down the beach on a Tuesday. What else have I done? Yeah, got my new burn barrel out and was burning a load of wood from a shed that's collapsed on itself. So yeah, and now I'm doing this with you. So I'm not really going to go over much different things from across Scotland or across Europe at all. It's mainly, I'm going to talk about Kriss Donald and I'm going to talk about Homeland's new remigration policy. I've also just seen that there's an update from Rupert Lowe on the rape gang inquiry. So we'll start off with that and then we'll move into Kriss Donald and then we'll finish on a high with the new remigration policy. And I'll also tell you about some upcoming protests and events that are coming to you very soon. So this is from Rupert Lowe and he posted it just a couple of hours ago. Rape gang inquiry update. As our hearings progressed, we had a distressing number of women come forward with similar horrific experiences who wanted to tell their story. Once the hearings concluded, we reopened the submission process. Many have come forward and are now being supported by our team. We will help them tell the world their story in a safe and secure way. Our wider report is being worked on, and I'm hopeful that we will have a final version ready for publication soon. Our inquiry legal team is identifying further targets for private prosecutions. More news to come on that soon. More evidence is being released from our hearings, and we will continue to shine a light on this festering rot. We are a small team working on a relatively small budget compared to the national inquiry effort. Labour's dithering behaviour has been utterly shameful. I want to thank everybody involved, from the staff to our donors, but particularly the brave individuals who have come forward. It really does matter. Progress has been made, but there is so much more to do. So in some ways it's a positive update, but in another way it's negative. So start with negative. The fact that there's still so many victims without a voice, so many survivors that have not been given a voice. The system has taken away their voice from them. And it's just a shame. But on the flip side of that, it's amazing that they're finally finding this courage. They're finally finding the ability to tell their stories that they've pretty much been had fear instilled into them until they refused to talk, until they believed that they were going to have to live with this on their own for the rest of their days. So yeah, it's great that more and more people are managing to come forward. It's just amazing. It's just a shame it's taken so long. And the fact that Rupert Lowe has said effort, the Alexis J report was a total whitewash, and that's what we've got coming to Scotland. But if we're going to end up with a rape gang inquiry like this off the back of a failure from Alexis J in Scotland, then so be it. Because you just got to think, not that long ago, the SNP and the Greens voted against a grooming gang inquiry in Scotland, while it was all coming out down south, while they were well aware of what's going on. They're all up to their necks in it. The whole establishment, they're all up to their necks in it. Like, we don't have to look much further than the mainstream media to see just, like, if it doesn't fit their narrative, if it's white people being targeted by foreigners, being targeted by blacks, being targeted by browns, then the victims don't seem to matter. But if it's on the flip side, the minute, like, these synagogue attacks are immediately seen as terror attacks. If you attack a Jewish person, it's immediately seen as a terrorist attack. But when white people are attacked, like in Edinburgh, the stabbing from the immigrant, it's been put as a mental health incident. Do you know? Every single time, without fail, they try and belittle our people, try and take away the severity of their pain because of the color of our skin. And we're being told not to care about, we're told that it's evil to see somebody as their skin color. But that's all they see the white race as. They see us as these white demons. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. I'm just going to close the window because, as you can see, it's starting to blah. My cat's in here with us just now. But leading on from the update, I want to go straight into talking about Kriss Donald. I've spoken about Kriss Donald before, and I'm probably going to continue to speak about Kriss Donald. Someone accused me the other day of exploiting this. What they class as exploiting, we class as keeping his memory alive, keeping the memory of Kriss Donald alive and honouring him by never forgetting his pain, never forgetting what he went through, and never letting the public forget. Because the reason I want to speak about Kriss Donald is the fact that they are now making a film about Kenmure Street, but it's all to do with the foreigners winning against the foreigners winning against the system, when a load of troons and all the commies went and stopped a load of immigrants from being deported. Now they're wanting to make films about it. And it's like, Kenmure Street is the street that Kriss Donald was abducted from. It was the street where 5 Pakistanis forced him into a stolen car and then drove him 200 miles to Dundee and then drove him back, all the while torturing him, abusing him. And then, they set him on fire. They cut off parts of his body. And then they murdered him. And then they dumped his body like he was a cheap bit of trash right on the side of the road. Do you know, not far from the Celtic club, or Celtic Supporters Club. And it's just, it's disgusting. It is disgusting. They want to completely smash Kriss Donald's memory into the ether. They want it to just disappear so that nobody knows who he is, because there's a lot of people south of the border, there's a lot of people in England, there's a lot of people across the world who will not know Kriss Donald's name. Kriss Donald was a 15-year-old lad that was targeted for being a white Scottish lad. 5 Pakistanis went out in a stolen vehicle looking for a white lad to murder. Do you know, you can't say that they went out with anything else other than hatred and pure venom in their hearts, and all they wanted to do was murder. There's no other reason you force a 15-year-old lad into a car. But so this happened on Kenmure Street, and now you've got these now you've got this film being made, and it's a totally whitewash his memory, so that when you put it into Google, when you put it into a search engine, type in Kenmure Street, and it makes sure that there's nothing there about Kriss Donald. Whenever you hear Kenmure Street, it should always be about Kriss Donald. Kriss Donald is Kenmure Street. Kriss Donald will forever be Kenmure Street, because that is where he was taken. That is where his life completely got flipped upside down. He went from being a safe 15-year-old kid to being a victim of racial crime, do you know? But the reason his mum wasn't given a lordship or a peership like Stephen Lawrence's is because yeah, you can't be racist against white people. If you commit crimes against white people, then it's less than evil. Do you know? Whereas if this had been the flip side, if this had been five white Scottish lads abducting a 15-year-old Pakistani, you can guarantee it would still be spoken about in the same regards that Stephen Lawrence is. Every single year, it is ingrained into us. It is forced onto our people about these horrible racist attacks like Stephen Lawrence and Damilola Taylor. But they're not our people. Kriss Donald is one of our own. He was a young Scottish lad taken from us. And for what? For multiculturalism. That whole community should have been deported after that. Should have been gone. But what's happened is that more of these people, more Muslims, have been allowed into positions of power. We're like, it's because our society is run by Fabians nowadays. Well, say nowadays, Fabians have run our society for a long time. Do you know? John Swinney's a Fabian, Stephen Flynn's a Fabian, Keir Starmer, Sadiq Khan. Do you know? It's all one big club. And it's this socialist movement that does their changes in tiny, small increments so that people don't notice until the terrain is just totally unrecognizable. You are living in a foreign land at home, and it's what's been allowed to happen. And if you look into our constitution, Fabians and fascists are not allowed to hold positions of power. And that's why they try and call all of us fascists, even though we're not fascists. We're just nationalists that care about our people. That's why they want to tar our names, tar our movements by calling us fascists, because fascists are not supposed to be allowed to get into power. Exactly the same as Fabians, because they're commies. And just look at today. We are run by communists. There's no other way to look at it than we are being like our food supply barely comes from Britain anymore. British people can't afford to get a house. They want you entirely dependent on the state. Whereas nationalists don't want that. Nationalists want people to have freedom. But at the same time, nationalists believe that the most vulnerable among us should be supported, should be picked up, should be looked after. Because that's what for kin and country means. You look after your own people. And that's your community, your family, all the people who share a similar ancestry, heritage, and culture to us. But all of those are downstream from our people. And that's why we do this. We do this to keep the memory of those lost, like Kriss Donald, alive. Because nothing's changed. This happened in 2004. And nothing has changed to make our lives better. Nothing has changed to make our people safer. All that's happened is our people have been put into more danger. It's harder for our people. Bills are more. People are getting paid pretty much the exact same. And nothing's changing. And you still have these people who are like, oh, if we had an independent Scotland, then things would be different. Well, just go and look at Ireland. Look at Ireland and tell me what's different. Nothing's different. If anything, the Republic of Ireland is getting battered more than Northern Ireland. But the only way our people are ever going to be safe is if we can put all these labels aside. Like, when I say put them aside, as in just let them bounce off you. Until we can unite our people, until people stop letting personal feelings like, oh, I've got mixed race family members, oh, I've got black friends, oh, I've got brown friends, oh, I like Muslims, oh, I like Jews. All of these lots, all of these different groups are not our people. So let's stop letting our personal feelings get in the way of what's necessary, because you are willing to divide a movement because of your personal feelings, because you've got mixed race family. But at the end of the day, this is for our people. This is not for your family that that are of a different race to us, do you know, that are mixed race or that are black. If you go, do you know, this is this is this is our ancestral homeland. The Scottish people are white. We didn't choose that. It's just the way it is. Do you know, all the European peoples are white. South Africans, white. Australians, white. New Zealanders, white. And it's the only time when it's the only group of people, we're the only group of people that aren't allowed to have an in-group preference is white people. The Chinese are allowed to be proud of their heritage. Japanese are allowed to be proud of their people. Israel's allowed an ethno state. But the minute you want England, Scotland, and Wales to have an ethno state, oh dear, you are the worst human in the entire world. If it wasn't so in your face, it might be a bit amusing, but it's forced onto us, and it's not great at all. It's not great at all. But that's why people like Kriss Donald, we must never forget his name. Never forget what he went through. Never forgive what was done to him. Because that could be anyone's son, anyone's brother, anyone's nephew. That could be anyone's family member next. And you've seen how, because it doesn't fit that anti-white narrative, that white people are evil narrative, that's why it's not spoken about on the levels that blacks and browns, when they get harm done to them, is spoken about. But let's move on to something a bit, the solution to our problem. This, because it's very easy for people to just tell you all these problems, for me to just tell you what's going on. But this is our solution: remigration. And this is Homeland's new remigration policy. It's called 10 million over 10 years, a remigration plan to restore our homeland. So it's like 50 odd pages. I've read through it. I'm going to go through some of the key points of the first few chapters in this video, and then in the next video I'll go through the rest of it. But 10 million over 10 years, a remigration plan to restore our homeland. Executive summary. Key actions. Estimate over 10 million people would leave over a 10-year period, minimum. Of these, over 3/4 would be mandated to leave through deportations or more commonly as a result of changes to visa eligibility. Not renewing visas at the end of their natural expiry and ending indefinite leave to remain. Estimates based on official figures. If immigrants unaccounted for, more will go. Citizenship reforms. Grant citizenship only to those born to at least one British citizen parent, automatic regardless of birthplace. Spouses of British heritage citizens, i.e., have a closest direct British ancestor born before 1949, over 10 years residency, meeting strict criteria, or those with pre-1949 British ancestry after 3 years residency, meeting strict criteria. Remove all pathways to British citizenship based solely on length of residency. Void the British citizenship of naturalised citizens who previously entered the UK illegally, i.e., treating it as never having been granted. To tackle the Boris wave, void the citizenship granted from 2026 onwards of those who obtained it via indefinite leave to remain, but who fail the new heritage-based criteria for citizenship. Require them to depart the UK within 1 year of voiding the decision. Audit all citizenships granted from 1997, starting with the most recent first. Where fraud is found, void citizenships with prompt removal. revoke British citizenship from naturalised citizens for serious crimes, e.g., murder, rape, child exploitation, drug distribution, aiding illegal immigration, and deport them. Deportations and enforcement. Deport all illegal immigrants and unprocessed/refused asylum seekers immediately, using military transport if needed. Deport legal immigrants unable to support themselves or dependents, or otherwise not of good character. Mandate reporting of illegal immigrants and non-self-supporting legal immigrants, with bounties for successful reports and penalties for non-compliance, including, where appropriate, loss of residency. Enhance HMRC trading standards and environmental health officers' roles to detect illegal activity, e.g., shadow economy, overcrowded housing. Visa residency restrictions. Visas will be fixed term only for a clearly specified purpose, 1 to 5 years based on status, with limited visa extensions, max 2.5 to 5 years. Allow most visas to expire naturally unless holders fail good character or self-support tests, triggering deportation. Abolish indefinite leave to remain. Existing holders given a 5-year visa reduced to 1 year for those who entered illegally or were granted indefinite leave to remain from 2026. Given the length of time it takes to be eligible for indefinite leave to remain, 5 years, it includes anyone entering the UK from January 2021. Close loopholes granting unrestricted job access to spouses of work visa holders, limiting dependents to residency only. Reduce work visas to high skill roles only. Quadruple the immigration skills charge. Cap new international enrolments at no more than 10% per institution. Abolish graduate route, requiring students to leave post-study or apply for limited work visas. Right, so I'm just going to take a break here because it's important to go over that last point. In Scotland, the SNP, one of their favourite talking points is that Scottish students are getting to go to university for free, and then they're leaving in less debt than their English counterparts. But the problem is, less and less Scots are being able to go to university because the universities need to allow foreigners in to subsidise it. Now they're needing more and more foreigners to subsidise the cost of the Scots going, so less Scots are getting the opportunity to go. So that is why this is so important, because see, if an institution needs foreigners to survive, and yeah, I'm just going to start that there, because if an institution needs foreigners to survive, it should be left to rot. Do you know? Because at the end of the day, this is our nation, this is our ancestral homeland. Everything should be there to benefit our people. And if it needs foreigners to allow it to benefit our people, then that should be a non-starter nowadays. Cultural preservation and legal reforms. Restrict benefits and public services, e.g., NHS, housing, education, with transitional grace periods up to 5 years for some immigrants. Oh, sorry, folks. Oh. People who post Brexit/common travel area status, Irish, etc., keep existing access. Make our homeland feel like home again. Promoting national heritage by funding cultural events, preserving historical sites, and defunding programs promoting foreign cultures or anti-national agendas. Ban practices incompatible with our legal traditions and systems, including non-stun slaughter, full face coverings in public, first cousin incest, objections to the sale of alcohol, parallel legal systems, e.g., Sharia courts, Beth Din, claiming judicial authority, a non-medical genital cutting of minors with no exemptions, no exemptions, criminalizing acts in taking children abroad for such procedures. Reform equality laws by abolishing positive action, indirect discrimination, public sector equality. Prohibit debanking on political grounds. Replace the Equality and Human Rights Commission and reform nationality as a protected characteristic. Repeal hate crime laws and protect free speech by repealing provisions criminalizing racial or religious hatred. Abolishing non-crime hate incident reporting, eliminating subjective offences like being offences like being offensive, and protecting legitimate political speech. Legislate around the European Convention on Human Rights ahead of withdrawing from it, and withdraw from the 1967 Refugee Convention Protocol and 1961 Convention on Statelessness, replacing the Human Rights Act 1998 with a new Bill of Rights. Like, just from that section there, the cultural preservation and legal reforms, like, these are just the key highlights, the key points from it. Obviously, in the document, it goes into more. But that's just showing you all these things that have been put in place, and slowly, gradually, they've taken away our voice as the native population. They've made it harder and harder for us to be able to voice our opinions, voice our concerns, because if you offend a foreigner, that is absolutely unacceptable. Do you know, if you hurt a foreigner's feelings, oh heaven forbid. Institutional reforms. Establish the Department for this is where it starts to get good, guys, in the Dream Department and Core Department. Let's get stuck in. Institutional reforms. Establish the Department for Remigration, Enforcement and Management, DREAM, led by the Deputy Prime Minister, and control of removals and entry, CORE, to replace Border Force and Immigration Enforcement, managing deportations, visa processing, and remigration centres. Abolish the Home Office, transferring relevant functions, e.g., immigration and nationality policy, to DREAM, with residual functions to other departments. Establish remigration centres in every local authority area to provide logistical support and financial incentives for voluntary returns. Voting and public service restrictions. Restrict public sector roles, civil service, core active legal professionals, senior local government, police and prisons to British citizens, barring dual nationals as judges, sheriffs and magistrates, and senior members of civil service, police, prisons, and most military. Restrict voting and jury service to British citizens. Sorry, if you just saw the flag bounce, it's because my cat is at it again. Restrict voting and jury service to British citizens. Limit candidacy in all elections and membership of House of Lords to British citizens without dual nationality, requiring key leaders, e.g. Prime Minister, First Ministers, to be citizens by birth with at least one British citizen parent. Policies requiring exclusively British citizenship differ in Northern Ireland. So that's all the key points. And see, when I'm reading through that, there's nothing extreme in there. It's just all trying to reset the balance, trying to get our people back to where they should be. Prime position. This is our ancestral homeland. I'm not talking about white supremacy and ruling the world here. I'm talking about, in our ancestral homeland, the native population should have ultimate control. Do you know, that is the way it is. We should not have foreigners in positions of power totally subverting our way of life. In the introduction, Homeland goes into how it's net zero and all these other things, talking about white British, white Irish, and the transformation has been stark and rapid. Until 1960, the UK remained 99% white British and white Irish. Essentially, what the Officer for National Statistics, ONS, would now record as white British, combined with white Irish. The majority was so overwhelming that no ethnicity question was even needed on census back then, which is true, because this is our fight right now, is for our identity. We're trying to get our identity back, and you still got people like David Lammy, Sadiq Khan, Hamza Yusuf, Anas Samwar that will tell you that they're just as British as me and you, just as Scottish as you and I. Couldn't be further from the truth, mate. Hamza Yusuf and Anas Samwar are not Scottish. But the part of this, I wanted to get to this. Remigration explained. And then I want to go to the core section, and I'm going to go to the dream section, and then that'll be it for today. But remigration explained. Remigration, reverse migration, will systematically overturn the laws and policies that permit and encourage mass immigration while introducing new laws and policies that require, facilitate, and encourage mass immigration. Emigration. It prioritizes the removal of criminals who harm society, creates safe voluntary routes for others to depart, and is guided by clear criteria such as criminality, economic contribution, and cultural alignment. We uniquely set out here a comprehensive remigration policy for our country. It covers every policy angle, from enforced deportations to required exit after the natural expiry of visas and time-limited rights to remain. Self-departures with set time limits, to many different ways of encouraging voluntary migration, combined with changes to the immigration and nationality laws and policies we outline. We will see the remigration of millions, setting us on a clear path to restore our country's historic demographics. Introduced by democratic means, remigration is as normal as any other governmental policy. By contrast, the decades-long experiment in replacement migration, imposed across Europe and the UK without public consent, is far from normal. Most importantly, remigration restores the democratic will of the people that has been ignored for decades. We were never asked if we wanted mass immigration. It was imposed upon us by establishment parties, and we have been browbeaten whenever we oppose it. In polls and elections, there has been consistent support for slashing immigration to minimal levels and for the deportation of illegals. Yet time and again, politicians have lied, promised change, and not even tried. The goal of remigration is to put matters right, to stop the government spending billions not only on illegal immigrants, but also on excessive benefits and services given to legal migrants, to remove criminals and make our streets safer for women and children, to reverse demographic decline, and to restore our national pride. The scare stories pushed by politicians and the media are nonsensical. Remigration is not a nightmare of masked officers in vans raiding homes and ripping screaming children from families. It is not taboo or wicked. We simply need to do it in the right way. The vast majority of those who remigrate will do so voluntarily, by free choice, or by expiry of their status, with enforcement reserved for illegals and criminals who attempt to evade the authorities. History is on our side. Remigration will soon sit alongside identity and freedom as a defining idea of national renewal. Remember that it is never too late. We can shape our own future and continue the living chain that runs from our ancestors through us to our children and all who will come after. You see, like remigration is just that they try to straw man it and say, oh, you just want to get rid of all the non-whites, which isn't the case at all, because there's white people we want to get rid of as well. You know what I'm saying? But we just want to reset the balance. Do you know how many will remigrate? We estimate that a bare minimum the successful delivery of our remigration plan will see over 10 million people leaving over a 10-year period. Of those, over 3/4 would be mandated to leave through deportations or more commonly as a result of changes to visa eligibility, not renewing visas at the end of their natural expiry, and ending indefinite leave to remain. We estimate that over 7.5 million non-British citizens will leave over this period. In addition, close to 2.9 million with British citizenship will also remigrate, with a vast majority, over 85%, choosing to do so voluntarily. Our estimates deliberately err on the side of caution, not least because the British government publishes inconsistent and piecemeal data sets, while the officers for national statistics publish data by country of birth, nationality, passport, ethnic group, and national identity. It does not provide any breakdown according to immigration status or naturalization pathway. The ONS asserts that its figures include illegal immigrants without specifying how many people are here illegally. We have no faith that the ONS data fully includes all illegal immigrants, but because we are estimating cautiously, we are taking its assurances at face value. So I'm just going to skip to the final paragraph here because it's important. Our estimates do not limit our ambitions. They simply illustrate how many will go based on available official figures. If there turn out to be, for example, 10 million more unaccounted immigrants, then 10 million more would go. That's what's so important in this policy here, is that we're saying that we're only going off the data that's given to us by the British government. So that could be wildly underrepresented how many people actually need to go. So we have that fine print in there. If it turns out that there's bajillions more that need to go, then you best believe that a bajillion more are going to be going. Because once again, this is our ancestral homeland. It's the homeland of our people, not a homeland for anyone and everyone. We are not a melting pot, because a home for everyone is a home for no one. So here is the dream section. Making the dream a reality. To deliver our policy, the Homeland Party will establish the Department for Remigration, Enforcement and Management, DREAM, which will oversee the implementation of remigration policy and the operation of remigration centres in every local government area. DREAM will also manage new agencies, such as the Control of Removals and Entry, CORE, and assume other responsibilities from the Home Office. Clearing them out, abolishing the Home Office. Since 1997, the civil service has transformed beyond recognition. Although far from perfect before then, many public servants sought to embody public service, setting aside personal politics to serve the government of the day. Decades later, this facade no longer holds under scrutiny. To anyone with a passing interest, it is evident that the civil service from top to bottom increasingly serves the blob, a permanent, self-perpetuating bureaucracy that prioritizes its own interests, resists reform, and undermines the elected government's mandate. This entrenched, ideologically driven culture, which has spread across central, devolved, and local government, risks obstructing the decisive actions necessary for achieving remigration. Against this backdrop of an entrenched bureaucratic blob, we will legislate to abolish the Home Office. Given that the office of Home Secretary is a great office of state, and the Home Office, founded in 1782, is one of our oldest government departments, we would not take this action lightly. However, its deep-rooted ideological capture is to serve. Attempting to salvage it would be unduly time-consuming and resource-intensive, as shown by the reforms of 2007, where the Ministry of Justice was spun out from the Home Office. We recognise the Home Office is not the sole source of bureaucratic rot. Almost every government department faces similar issues. However, the dissolution of this historic department will serve as a clear warning to other departments and bureaucrats across government. It reflects our resolute commitment to implementing decisive reforms, leaving no doubt that we will make further organisational changes where necessary. Bureaucratic resistance or undermining of remigration will not be tolerated. We will legislate to transfer relevant functions such as immigration and nationality policy to DREAM, with residual functions assigned to other departments. For example, national security, counter-terrorism and cybercrime to the Cabinet Office, and policing, fire services and drugs policy to the Ministry of Justice. The legislation will authorise ministers to make superfluous Home Office staff, such as those in outdated asylum processes, compulsory redundant. Reform the civil service. Just give 1 minute. Before I go into this, there's one bit that I really want to go through here. It's section 3.3. Establishing DREAM. To realise DREAM and our border remigration policy, fundamental changes to the machinery of government are required. DREAM will be led by the Deputy Prime Minister, providing the high-level leadership needed to break down departmental silos and ensuring all government departments deliver the focused effort required for effective remigration. Assigning this role to an ordinary Secretary of State risks failure, as departments have often operated in conflict, pursuing competing interests and rendering government directionless. This must end. To establish remigration as the government's foremost priority, we will set it as the standard against which all other policies are measured. To deliver it at scale and pace demands strong central leadership to harness the full power of the state to resolve challenges. Any legitimate impediments will be identified, not to derail policy development or implementation, but to enable effective solutions. All departments and agencies will work in a highly focused and coordinated manner. DREAM will be staffed by high-performing civil servants with a proven commitment to the traditional public sector ethos, capable of navigating the system and countering obstruction, alongside newly recruited public and private sector professionals bringing fresh skills, aptitudes, and innovations. We will establish CORE, Control of Removals and Entry, as a single law enforcement agency under DREAM. It will replace Border Force and Immigration Enforcement by unifying border entry and existing control with in-country enforcement. A single chain of command will track entries and exits, pursuing overstayers, illegal entrants, and system abusers. Experienced UK military veterans will be recruited into leadership and operational roles to enhance standards, tempo, and professionalism. DREAM will also assume the Home Office's immigration and nationality-related responsibilities, including HM Passport Office, managing British passport issuance with clear requirements, faster processing and stronger anti-fraud measures. Migration and Borders Group, overseeing strategy, legislation and system reform for asylum, borders and visas. UK Visas and Immigration, handling all visas and nationality casework. Border Security Command, providing system-wide leadership to disrupt organised immigration crime, including small boat crossings. Migration Advisory Committee, providing independent advice on migration policy and labour market impacts. To ensure effective remigration, DREAM will coordinate action so that all arms of government align their policies with remigration goals. This includes domestic Westminster departments such as the Department of Health and Social Care, Department of Work and Pension, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, Departments for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and Cabinet Office, covering areas such as NHS access, benefits, housing, non-stun slaughter, and civil service employment, working with devolved administrations and local authorities where relevant. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, covering policies such as foreign aid and remittance taxes to ensure countries accept their nationals back, as well as reaching agreements with third countries to accept migrants whose nationality is not established, requiring Westminster government departments, devolved administrations, and local authorities. Like, you see where this is going. It's just showing you, but this is it. This is my favorite bit. Favorite bit of all, like 56 pages. This is my favorite bit. Establishing core. To strengthen immigration enforcement and deliver remigration effectively, we will establish core as an executive law enforcement agency under DREAM, free from existing bureaucratic constraints. Core will replace the border force, which fails to prevent small boat crossings, often facilitates migrant arrivals, and allows drugs to enter the country easily. Core will serve as DREAM's immigration enforcement arm, targeting individuals with no legal right to remain. Core will recruit and train immigration constables equipped with intelligence-led operations, including visible patrols and discreet surveillance, supported by a mobile app for real-time community reporting. Core will utilize advanced technology, including drones, AI-powered analytics, and data feeds to support efficient enforcement, including through stop checks of food delivery riders. Including through stop checks of food delivery riders. Through contracts managed by DREAM, Core will partner with private airlines and operate from private or secure military airfields where necessary to facilitate flights without disrupting public airports. That is where we're going to be getting mass sign-ups by Patriots, is the core team. People who are happy to work outside of the current bureaucratic system, working directly for our people, because you're serving the people by working for DREAM. You know, you're serving the native population in their ancestral homeland. So it would be a great honor to be part of the core team. You know, going and rounding up all these people that shouldn't be here, detecting these people. Like, even if you find yourself as a bit of an internet sleuth, a bit of a part-time detective or something, core team is going to be where you'll be wanted, where you'll be needed. Your skills at finding these people that are hiding, finding people who are helping to hide these people. I just think this is the sign of great things. And I will go into this in more detail in another episode, but I just really wanted to get that bit about the dream, and about core, because we are thinking, people keep saying, how will you make remigration happen? And the simple way is detect, detain, and denaturalize, deport. But this is a 56-page document in exactly how we're going to do it, and this is only our first revamp of it. Do you know? And there's been so much. It's got so much better already. So just think of what the next one's going to be like. So there's positive things coming. Do you know? And I'm really proud to be a part of Homeland. I'm really proud to be a part of what we're doing here. Do you know? I'm proud to work alongside the Patriots that are joining Restore as well. Together, we are going to make remigration happening. For those of you that don't know, in Grampian, the northeast of Scotland, like, there's already a really strong bond forming between Homeland, Restore, and any other Patriots that have found themselves being rejected by other groups. And Hope Not Hate calls Aberdeen the most extreme anti-immigration movement or street movement. You're welcome. It's not me. I'm just messing. But yeah, talking of protests on Sunday, it's Mother's Day. It's also the memorial for Kriss Donald. But there is a protest will be back down the beach at the Patio Hotel. So if you're around Aberdeen, if you're around the northeast of Scotland, on Sunday at 2:00, then why not come along and join us? I will be, I will hopefully be there because I've got Kriss Donald's memorial in Glasgow, so I'm hoping to be back in time. But it'll be touch and go, but you know me, I'll try my damnedest to be there. Then the following week, we've got the big Unite the Clans rally on the 21st at 12:00 outside Holyrood. So come and make some noise. If you're a group, any street movement that's been rejected by others, you know, come and have your voice heard. We have people. It's not just Homeland, because this is by Unite the Clans. So you've got some Homeland people, you've got some Restore people, you've got some patriotic alternatives speaking, you've got a British Democrat speaking, we've got some TERF speaking for you ladies that want to have your voices heard. Come and be a part of this beautiful movement that's happening in Scotland at the moment, because we do this for our people, we do this for our nation, we do this for the future generations of our beautiful homeland, and that is what the 21st is all about. It's all about going and making the noise. Like, we know it's a Saturday, we know that there's not going to be anyone in Holyrood, but this is our way to show that we are there. We can see what is going on, and we are not going to stand for it. We are the ones that have that moral courage to say no. We are the ones that have the courage to make things like Dream and Core happen, so that remigration can happen swiftly and successfully. Like, over 10 years, over 10 million over 10 years. It just sounds gorgeous, doesn't it? So yeah, if you're, and then the following week, after Edinburgh, it's Nuneaton and Skegness down south. So Unite the Clans are hitting the road, and we're heading down south to stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters south of the border. Because that's the thing, you will never find me hating on the English people, because they face the exact same tyranny we do. And Westminster and Holyrood are run by the exact same monsters. So I'm buzzing to go down and get stuck in with all them down south, because it is so important that the establishment see that it doesn't matter what country on the British Isles you come from. The Patriots all stand shoulder to shoulder against this foreign invasion that we are facing. We are all fighting for our people's right to exist in our ancestral homeland. So I am absolutely buzzing for the rest of March. It's going to be a busy one. I'm going to be knackered coming into April, but I'm looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to getting to pay my respects to Kriss Donald this weekend, because that is what is so important. Keeping his memory alive, keeping his name alive, no matter how much they try to force it into the darkness and try and cover it. with cover it in the algorithm by using things like making this film about the foreigners not getting deported. It's just, yeah, we have to keep Kriss's name alive. We keep his memory alive, and that's how we honor him. And they can say that we are trying to exploit it. No, we're just trying to keep his name alive. They just don't like it because it doesn't fit their narrative. So I hope that you all have an amazing weekend. Go and smash it and have a good one. Just make sure you're smiling. Thank you.